Tune in to the Diva Hustle.
Hey, you guys. Thanks for tuning in to the Diva Hustle Show. Today, we have our author and guest, David. He's right now promoting the book of Compassionary, Unleashing the Power of Serving. Thank you, David, for coming to our show.
Well, thank you for having me, Paris. I appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about the book.
Well, the book is all about serving others.
Mhm.
It really comes out of an overflow of years of experience on my part of helping people find their place of serving. And let me define what serving others is. It's not like serving in the military. Nothing
Okay.
wrong with that. I did that and grateful for others who do it. It's not serving at a table in a restaurant. We
Mhm.
refer to those people as servers.
Mhm.
That's not what this is. This is serving other people at their point of need. Now, we often think of that as somebody who's hungry or they're homeless or something of that kind, and it can include that.
Mhm.
But there are a lot of needs out there. Even a person who might not appear to have an obvious need may be feeling lonely or
Right.
taken advantage of or whatever. So there are a lot of ways of discovering needs of people and finding ways to serve them. And so this book is meant to be an encouragement for people to develop that serving mindset where others are put before self, and that shows up, you know, in
Mhm.
their relationships and how they conduct their business, and it becomes kind of a way of life.
Mhm.
And the result of that is that the people around them, be they fellow employees or friends or family or whatever, are lifted up.
Okay.
They're lifted up. They are made to feel better. They're valued more. So it's just a good way to live life.
Right. And so when you came up with the concept of the book, did you feel like there was a lack of people serving others, helping others?
I sure did, Paris. I've really worked in this area for a good 20 years.
Mhm.
And what I find is people talk a good game. When it
Mhm.
comes right down to it, they're not so good at getting out of the stands and onto the playing field when it comes to serving others. And so
Mhm.
part of the reason for writing the book was try to encourage people to do it. In fact, I say it's the very last line of the introduction of the book. If you don't want to serve, don't read this book.
Okay.
I mean it just that strongly. And the feedback that I'm getting from it, even though it hasn't been out very long,
Mhm.
is it really does challenge people to think about what they can do to serve other people
Mhm.
in a wide range of ways, and that's good because that's really what I wanted to do. So yes, I do think that there could be a lot more of that. I think our communities, our world would be a better place if more of us really kind of developed that mindset of serving and implemented it
Mhm.
and so forth. So I talk about in the book, for example, I talk about the traits of a compassionary,
Mhm.
and you know I could elaborate on that if you'd like. Or
Yeah.
and well, okay, so it starts with humility.
Mhm.
Um, Humility is not thinking of ourselves less, not thinking less of ourselves. Excuse me. But thinking of ourselves less. In other words,
Okay.
we're putting other people first.
Yes. Mhm.
And I think in pretty much all relationships, if we would do that, we
Mhm.
would find that those would become much healthier relationships. Second thing, a trait is seeing needs.
Mhm.
A lot of times we go right by needs and we just don't pay attention.
Mhm.
Or maybe in the case of, let's say, somebody on the side of the road panhandling,
Mhm.
all of us are guilty of kind of looking the other way, kind of hoping he
Yes.
doesn't look my way, kind of thing. That's a kind of an obvious example,
Mhm.
but just seeing the needs of other people, and you have to be really tuned into that in order
Okay.
to see that. A third thing is compassion.
Mhm.
Is really compassion. I understand to be an action oriented thing. It's not just a feeling.
Right.
It's a feeling that leads to action of some sort
Mhm.
for the benefit of other people.
Mhm.
And then a fourth trait is courage. That may
Mhm.
seem a little strange to some people. Why would
Okay.
courage be included here? Well, because sometimes when we serve others, we find ourselves in circumstances that are a little bit challenging. And we have to kind of push past that in order to really make a difference in someone's life. Not all do, but some. And then finally, just a sense of responsibility.
Right.
You know, is this community some of my responsibility to make it a better place? Well, yes, it is. But not everybody feels that way. So it's very easy in our culture and our world to kind of pass that off. Well, somebody else will take care of that. There was an actress right now, her name just slips my mind, said, you know, I thought somebody ought to do something about that. And then she said, I realized, hey, I'm somebody.
Right.
So really, that's kind of that a way to verbalize that sense of responsibility.
Right. And the thing about it is, even like during the pandemic, you know, you'll see where people were like, oh, you know, let me go get 20 rolls of toilet paper or paper towels. And it's like, but what about the other people? You know what I mean? You didn't see that compassion being thought out, and even now, like you were saying, you know, with the food shortage and the baby formula shortage, and we don't see a lot of that saying, hey, you know, I don't need 5 cans, I could give you one, or if you can't afford it, you know, don't worry about it. I feel like in the community, especially now in society, we missed that part.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I'm afraid that's just a kind of a black mark on our culture. A lot of people, not everybody, but it does seem like a lot of people have a me first attitude. And that's very unfortunate, because it does leave other people out. I mean, there were people who went to the grocery store in the early days of the pandemic and couldn't find toilet paper.
Right.
And I'm sure they were not adept at using the Sears and Roebuck catalog as people who had outhouses a few generations ago did. But it made it harder. Like you said, it made it harder on other people. And we just need to get past that. And so I'm just trying to encourage people to think along those lines a bit more.
Right. And so I know before we started, we was talking about the business application to serving others. So give me a little bit background about that.
Well, I think a lot of people are aware that in some circles, there does seem to be a greater emphasis on serving. For example, a lot of schools, high schools and colleges in particular, are encouraging their students to serve others, and they actually make it a requirement.
Right.
And they give them credit for doing that. The nonprofit that I work with has worked with students in that type of setting. And so they were very eager to work off their service time like that. Businesses are doing much the same thing. I see that happening when businesses will promote a certain benevolent event or charity event. Maybe they'll underwrite it somewhat financially, or they encourage the employees to get involved, or even better, they encourage their employees, they will give them paid time off to go to get involved in some sort of a community event that exists for the benefit of less fortunate people.
Right.
What I would like to help entrepreneurs and business people see is there are yet other ways that service can become a part of the way they conduct their business. For example, relationships between managers and employees.
Okay.
I think, for example, that if management would say to employees, would recognize these people are doing the work, they probably have some thoughts about how that work can be done better.
Right.
And maybe that may even translate into better profits for the business. But even if it doesn't, if it makes the whole work environment better, so they ask them. And we want to serve our employees by giving them the authority to say, hey, I've got an idea of how to do this even better. And the same can work the other way with employees serving the management with an attitude of what can I do to do this job better?
Right.
So the whole idea of the whole business has a culture of serving, and that will eventually, probably pretty quickly, spill over into relationships between the business and customers.
Right.
So it's not just do we have good customer service, but do our customers really feel that we care about them, or are we just trying to get their business?
And you know,
I think any business that conveys that attitude is going to succeed.
And that's key, because like you'll see Chick-fil-A, they're one of the companies that come to mind that
Sure.
exhibit where the employee will make sure the customer is feeling satisfied and they're content. But you also hit on the key thing of having that open door policy where employees can go to managers and be able to float ideas around, and you get a better work environment as well.
Oh, absolutely. I love Chick-fil-A's ad campaign that really touts their customer service. And I have to say, they do it well. They're good examples. So I agree with you 100%.
Yes. And also I know even when it comes to like Apple, you'll see where they have that think tank, and they're able to allow employees to bounce ideas, work with new projects, special projects. And I think we need that even now, because in society, or we have 11.5 million jobs open, and people are just quitting. And I think a lot of it goes to because they want that, that relationship, like you're saying, serving others, where it's not just, I'm not an employee, I'm a person, I have a name, and, I want to be able to contribute and help grow the business.
Exactly. I think most people are really looking for that sense of being valued for who they are, not just to do a job and collect a paycheck and go home. I think they want much more than that, and would respond well to that. Let me give you an example of someone who has implemented this concept of having a serving culture.
Okay.
And seen it benefit the business. So Cheryl Batchelder is the CEO of Popeye's Chicken.
Okay.
She got into that position just a few years ago, and the business was in trouble. Their profits were dwindling. Their stock value was going down steadily. The future was not bright. And she became the CEO, and she determined that they would implement the attitude of serving in every aspect of their business.
Wow.
And over a period of time, it did take some time, but over a period of time, that company completely turned around.
Wow.
And they're one of the better growing companies. In fact, she's written a book about how she did that, and it's called Dare to Serve. So I would refer any of your listeners to check that out. I'm supposed to be hawking my own book here, but the fact is, hers is a more direct application to the business world, and it's a great example of how serving others can have a very strong positive impact on the life of a business.
So, David, what do you want your readers to take away when they purchase your book?
Well, I want them to see first the priority of serving. It's one of the most important things we can do. But beyond that, as is evident by the subtitle, Unleash the Power of Serving, I'd like for them to gain an understanding that serving is, in fact, one of the most powerful change agents we have available to us. It can change hearts and minds, and there are times when it can transform lives. I've seen that happen, and I suspect a lot of your listeners have as well. And I compare it to the atom. So an atom is one of the smallest pieces of our world, our material world. For a long time, we didn't even know atoms existed, but we do now. And even after we learned of their existence, we did not understand the power that is inside an atom. Well, we do now because of atomic bombs, atomic energy, and so forth and so on. I see serving as somewhat like that.
Right.
We all have some understanding of what serving is, and many of us participate at some level.
Right.
We haven't necessarily understood this is a way to make a difference. It's a way to help a community to become a better place to live. Right. Example, I have a friend who is a police officer with the Nashville, Tennessee Police Department.
Okay.
He was given the assignment of changing the perspective of law enforcement with people who lived in a very high crime neighborhood within Nashville.
Okay.
The people in the neighborhood referred to their neighborhood, believe it or not, as the jungle.
Oh,
That
wow.
tells you a whole lot about
Yeah.
what life was like there. A lot of shootings, a lot of drugs. I mean, you name it, it was there. So my friend gathered a team of other law enforcement people together, and he said, here's what we're going to do.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to serve these people.
Okay.
So what they did was, in addition to walking the streets,
Mm-hmm.
as policemen do,
Mm-hmm.
they found people they got to know the people.
Okay.
And they found a man who did not have a bed to sleep on.
Mm.
So they collected some money, got a bed, and gave it to him. They
Wow.
found a woman who had a job, but she didn't have a good way to get to and from work.
Mm-hmm.
So they took up a collection among them. They went to the Fraternal Order of Police, got some more money, and got her a car.
Mm.
They brought in churches who brought food, because that's a food desert,
Mm-hmm.
and they got involved.
Mm-hmm.
And they built a recreational area. So my friend says, we knew we had achieved our objective of changing the perspective of the people who live here when they had a shooting one night,
Mm-hmm.
A drug deal gone bad.
Mm-hmm.
And when the regular police went in, they wouldn't tell them anything. They wouldn't even talk to them.
Mm-hmm.
But he said, when we went in, our team went in,
Mm-hmm.
because we had served them before, they told us who did the shooting,
Mm-hmm.
where the gun was, where the drugs were, and anything else we wanted to know.
Wow. Wow.
So that's a great example of
Mhm.
the difference that serving people can make. It
Right.
changes way more than we ever thought that it could. So my hope is that if I can just get that message out and get the book out there, that more people will say, as they wake up in the morning, who can I serve today?
Right. Right.
And really be open to that possibility. I'm telling you, the world will become a better place pretty quick.
Oh yeah, and the thing about it is, in that instance, it builds trust.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, sure.
And that's what we need. We need, in those environments to be able to build trust and let them know, we all can go through the same thing. You know what I mean? And there's
That's right.
someone out there that can help you. So, but the first thing you hit on was that take the selfishness out of it. It's not about you. It's about somebody else.
Yeah, that's right. That's absolutely right. So yeah, that's kind of my mission right now, Paris, is to get that message out there and hope that people will begin to take it in and live by it. And I can get pretty excited about that. As you can tell, I'm a little bit passionate about it.
I love it because we need it. Everybody is so angry. We're coming out of the pandemic, and it's just a lot of self. You know what I mean? Me.
Sure. Yeah.
And we need. We have to build the community up. We have to be there for each other. And I remember growing up back in the day, we used to do those kind of things, and then somewhere it got lost.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, the world's very different than it was when I was growing up as well. I'm a little bit older than you, so I guess I should expect that the changes would be a little more drastic. But
right. But it start with the man in the mirror. So it could just start with one person, right?
That's right. That's right. Yeah, I have a quote in the book that I can't give it exactly. It's not a person you would expect as a marketer. His name is Seth Godin or Godin, Godin, and he said, just help one person. Mm-hmm. You can't help everybody in the world, but just one person. And he said, that's better than most people are doing. They don't help anybody.
Right.
So there you go. One person, and then go to the next and go to the next.
Yeah. So where can people purchase the book?
Well, it's on Amazon, of course. But I've also created a website, which is offers the book available. It's simply my name, davidwcrocker.com. Mm-hmm. The way I say that is Mr. Bezos is doing quite well by himself. I don't mind him selling the books, but every dime of the book that we sell through this website goes to the nonprofit that I started 15 years ago. Mm-hmm. And so none of it comes to me. So I'm trying to make a difference that way as well.
Okay. And what's next for you? What projects do you have coming up in the future?
Well, I've actually thought, Paris, I'm glad you asked. I've actually thought that this could lead into a whole series of books. Mm-hmm. I could see, for example, a book that might be titled something like Law Enforcement People Who Are Compassionaries, mm-hmm. or Medical People Who Are Compassionaries, or teachers, because I'm convinced that there are people out there with lots and lots of wonderful stories about how they are serving other people, maybe as a part of their profession, maybe outside of that. And I just would love to help their stories to be told. It might even turn into a kind of a chicken soup type series of books, which we all know about.
Right. And also, you know, just the idea that came to my mind, if you could do some video, you know what I mean? Just to get the story out of people telling a story, that also would be good too, you know?
I think that's a good suggestion. It's something that I've begun to look at, but haven't quite pulled the trigger on that yet.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks, David, for stopping past and sharing your wealth of knowledge with us. We appreciate it. And, you know, you're always welcome back anytime you want to come back and talk with us.
Oh, I've got more to say. So I appreciate that. I appreciate the opportunity very much. Thank you for just helping me to get this message out. And yeah, I'd love to come back. We'll be in touch.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
No, I let the whole world know. Divas forget the dog. The hustle.